Hey guys, welcome back to r/AmIOverreacting. Imagine buying your dream home only to have your parents show up with a moving truck demanding that you sign it over to them. Their reasoning? You owe us for raising you. What happens when they refuse to leave? You won't believe how far this goes. Let's dive right into the video. And the first one is titled, "My parents claim my house belongs to them because I owe them for raising me." Growing up, my home life was what I would call a masterclass in emotional manipulation. My parents were not physically abusive, but they were experts at making everything about them. My dad was a mid-level manager who thought he deserved CEO status, and my mom was a part-time receptionist who acted like she was sacrificing her potential as a Fortune 500 executive to raise me. From as early as I can remember, they kept a mental ledger of everything they sacrificed for me. New shoes? Added to the list. School supplies? On the tab. My birthday presents? Well, apparently those were loans that I was expected to repay with interest through eternal gratitude and submission to their will. "Do you know how much we spent on you every month?" was practically our family motto. I heard it when I asked for lunch money, when I needed a new backpack after mine tore apart, and especially when I wanted to join any extracurricular activity. If I ever expressed any desire that required financial investment, I was treated to a dramatic performance about their sacrifices. When I was 14, I got my first job bagging groceries at the local supermarket. My parents immediately instituted a room and board payment. I had to give them 70% of my paycheck for the privilege of living in their home. "This is preparing you for the real world," my dad would say as he pocketed my hard-earned money. I later found out that he was using it to fund his weekly poker games. By 16, I had mapped out my escape plan. I studied obsessively, knowing education was my ticket out. I applied for every scholarship I could find and worked multiple jobs, hiding most of my earnings in a bank account they did not even know about. When I got a full scholarship to a university 3 states away, my parents' reaction was not pride, it was outrage that I would be abandoning them. "After everything we have done for you?" my mom cried. "This is how you repay us?" The day I left for college was the first day I felt like I could breathe. I maintained minimal contact, calling on holidays and sending generic birthday cards. I worked through every break, using work commitments as an excuse to avoid coming home. I put myself through college, graduated with honors and landed a decent job in software development. Over the years, I built a life for myself. I lived frugally, saved aggressively, and eventually purchased my first home last year, a modest 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. And by the way, guys, I'm not sure if 3-bedroom is modest. Anyway, it's nothing extravagant, but it's mine, paid for with money I earned, and I am proud of it. My parents knew about my purchase, but had never visited. Our relationship had evolved into occasional phone calls where they would complain about their lives and I would make sympathetic noises until I could politely end the conversation. But then last month, everything changed. I was cooking dinner when my phone rang. It was my mom sobbing hysterically. Through her tears, I pieced together that they had lost their house. Apparently, over the past few years, both my parents had developed serious gambling problems. They had remortgaged their house multiple times and had finally defaulted. The bank was foreclosing, and they had 30 days to vacate. "We need help," she said, her voice suddenly steadying. "You need to help us." I felt a pang of sympathy. Despite everything, "I can help you find an apartment," I offered, "or maybe contribute to the security deposit for a rental." There was a pause, and then my dad got on the phone. "We're not looking for an apartment," he said firmly. "We're moving in with you." I nearly dropped my phone. "What? No, that's not possible." "What do you mean not possible?" he demanded. "You have a 3-bedroom house. We raised you, fed you, clothed you, and now we need help. You're turning your back on us?" I tried to explain that I had turned my spare bedrooms into a home office and a guest room, and that my house was not set up for 3 adults long term, that it would be better for everyone if they found their own place, but they were not listening. "You owe us," my mom chimed in. "Everything you have is because of us. That house should be our retirement plan. You should sign it over to us and find yourself an apartment." I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. "We gave you life," my dad added. "We sacrificed everything for you. The least you can do is give us a place to live. Actually, you should just put the house in our names. We will let you stay until you find somewhere else." I was speechless. The audacity was breathtaking. "That's not happening," I finally managed to say. "I bought this house with my own money." "I'm happy to help you find a place, but I'm not giving you my house." What followed was an hour of screaming, guilt-tripping and threats. They brought up every birthday party, every doctor's appointment, every school supply they'd ever purchased, and according to them, I was still deep in debt for the privilege of being raised by them. "Fine," my dad finally spat. "We'll be there next weekend. We'll figure it out then." Before I could protest, he just hung up. I spent the next week in a state of panic. I spoke to friends who assured me that I was not, in fact, obligated to give my house to my parents. I even contacted a lawyer who confirmed that legally, my parents had no claim to my property. I even arranged for a couple of apartment viewings in their price range, hoping to have alternatives to offer. But when Saturday came, I was ready with boundaries, resources, and a firm no practiced in the mirror. What I wasn't ready for was my parents showing up with a moving truck. I opened my door to find them directing movers carrying furniture towards my house. "What are you doing?" I asked, blocking the doorway. "Moving in," my dad said casually, as if this had all been agreed upon. "Where should they put our bedroom set?" "Stop," I said, holding up my hands. "You cannot move in here. We never agreed to that." My mom pushed past me into the house. "Oh, this is nice. A bit small, but we can make it work. Your father and I will take the master bedroom, of course." I stood there, mouth agape, as my parents walked through my house, planning how they would rearrange it. The movers looked uncomfortable too, clearly sensing the tension. "Where are all your things going to go?" my dad asked, gesturing around. "You will need to clear out by next weekend. We need time to settle in." And that's when it finally clicked. They genuinely expected me to give them my house and move out. This was not about them needing a place to stay temporarily. This was a complete takeover. "Get out," I said quietly. "What did you say?" My dad turned, his face reddening. "Get out of my house now. Take your moving truck and leave." My mom clutched her chest dramatically. "After everything we've done for you, huh? This is how you treat your parents? We gave you life. And I've been paying for it ever since," I replied, surprised by my own calmness. "You didn't sacrifice for me. You did the bare legal minimum as parents and held it over my head my entire life. You took my money when I was a child. You tried to sabotage my education. You've never been happy for my success, and now you think you're entitled to take my home?" "We are entitled?" my dad shouted. "You wouldn't have anything if it weren't for us." I turned to the movers. "I'm sorry, but there's been a misunderstanding here. No one is moving in today. Please take everything back to the truck." The head mover looked between us, clearly wanting to be anywhere else right now. "Well, we need to be paid regardless," he said cautiously. "Bill them," I replied, nodding towards my parents. "They hired you under false pretenses." My mom burst into tears while my dad's face turned an alarming shade of purple. "You ungrateful little—" "I'm going inside now," I interrupted. "If you're not gone in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police to report trespassers on my property." I went inside, locked the door, and watched through the window as my parents argued with the movers. Eventually, they began loading the furniture back onto the truck. My dad pounded on my door one more time, shouting threats about family responsibility and how I would regret this before they finally drove away. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Over the next week, I received dozens of calls from relatives I barely knew, all telling me how horrible I was for letting my parents become homeless. They were not homeless, they were staying with my aunt. My parents had apparently crafted a narrative where they had lovingly raised me, supported me through college, helped me buy my house, and now I was cruelly throwing them out on the street in their time of need. I tried explaining the reality to a few relatives, but quickly realized it was pointless. In their version of events, I was the villain, and nothing I said would change that. And then came the social media onslaught. My mom created posts tagging me, detailing her heartbreak at being abandoned by her only child. Former high school classmates I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly messaged me asking why I was being so cruel to my sweet parents. Someone even contacted my workplace, suggesting they should reconsider employing someone who would let their elderly parents become homeless. For the record here, my parents are in their late 50s and perfectly capable of working. Their financial problems are entirely self-inflicted through gambling. And they are not homeless, they're just not living in my house. But then last weekend, things escalated further. I came home from grocery shopping to find my parents had broken into my house. They had somehow gotten a key made, probably from when I had contractors working, and hid a spare outside, and had moved some of their belongings in while I was out. I found them sitting in my living room like they owned the place. We decided to stop this nonsense. My dad announced, "This is happening whether you like it or not. We're your parents and what we say goes." I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling the cops." "Go ahead," my mom said smugly. "We will tell them this is a family matter, that we are just staying with our son who is having a mental health crisis." I stepped outside and made the call anyway. When the police arrived, my parents put on an Oscar-worthy performance, crying about their confused son who was struggling with reality. The officers looked skeptical but suggested this was a civil matter they could not really get involved in. "But they broke into my house," I insisted. "I didn't give them a key or permission to be here." One officer pulled me aside and said, "Look, they are saying they've been helping with your mortgage and that they have an informal agreement to live here." "Is that true?" "Absolutely not," I said firmly. "I bought this house entirely with my own money. They've never contributed a penny. I have all the documentation as well." After showing them my mortgage paperwork and proof of payments, the officers finally asked my parents to leave. They went, but not before my mom tearfully told the officers that I was breaking her heart, and my dad promised they would be back. True to his word, they returned the next day and the next one, and each time I had to call the cops. Each time the officers seemed less interested in helping. During their last visit, one officer suggested I file for a restraining order if I was serious about keeping my parents away, so that is exactly what I did. I filed for a temporary restraining order, citing harassment and repeated trespassing. The hearing is set for next week and my parents have been served with papers, but their response? Well, they have now told everyone that I'm mentally unstable and have fabricated reasons to keep them out of their house. According to them, they put down the down payment on my house as a gift and I'm now trying to steal it from them. By the way, this is completely false. I have documentation showing that I saved for the down payment myself and have made every mortgage payment myself. They've also started contacting my friends, colleagues and even my boss, sharing their fabricated version of events and suggesting that I need help. Fortunately, most people who actually know me recognize this as the desperate manipulation it is, but it's still humiliating and stressful. Yesterday, I received a letter from an attorney claiming to represent my parents, stating they have an oral contract regarding my house and demanding I honor it by either transferring the deed or paying them the equivalent value. The letter is full of vague threats about elderly abuse and family responsibility laws. I have spoken to my own attorney who assures me their claims have no legal merit but recommends I gather documentation of their pattern of financial exploitation and manipulation throughout my life. I've been compiling bank statements showing the room and board payments they forced from me as a teenager, emails and texts demonstrating their history of entitlement, and statements from people who witnessed their behavior over the years. The whole situation is just surreal. I keep asking myself if I'm overreacting by refusing to help them, and then I remember they're not asking for help, they're demanding that I give them my house and then just leave. They're not asking for temporary shelter until they get back on their feet, they're claiming ownership of something I worked hard for. So Reddit, am I overreacting for refusing to give my house to my parents and filing a restraining order against them? And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Do you think OP is overreacting here? In my opinion, he definitely did not overreact. I think he was 100% in the right for getting or trying to get a restraining order and calling the police. These parents are absolutely outrageous. I would just go absolutely no contact with them. Let me know in the comments what you would have done, and while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video and post a comment because that would help me tremendously, and also let me know whether you enjoy this new subreddit. And now let's read the comments and the update to the story. So comment number 1, not overreacting, your parents are trying to gaslight you on an epic scale. They are not entitled to your house, period. The fact that they brought a moving truck without your agreement shows how delusional they are. Stand your ground and document everything. C2, aka comment number 2, what you're describing is classic narcissistic behavior, the entitlement, the manipulation, the smear campaign when they don't get their way. You're not overreacting, you're finally establishing healthy boundaries. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Amen. Comment number 3, you are overreacting. I'm gonna go against the grain here and say what no one else has the guts to say. Your parents are not perfect, but they raised you. Do you have any idea what it costs to raise a child? The thousands upon thousands of dollars, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices. They did not have to do any of that. They could have given you up for adoption, and sure, they made you pay room and board as a teenager, but guess what? That's called preparing you for the real world. And it obviously worked because you're successful now. You wouldn't have that job, that education, or that house if they hadn't laid the foundation. And damn guys, this person is really drinking the Kool-Aid. Anyway, your parents lost their home and needed help. Instead of showing an ounce of compassion, you're getting restraining orders and humiliating them in court. They're not getting any younger. What happens when they need medical care they cannot afford? Will you also turn your back then too? Family is family, period. You don't get to pick and choose when it's convenient for you. Yes, they were dramatic about moving in, but they were desperate and scared. Instead of working with them to find solution, you called the cops on your own parents. How heartless can you be? The fact that you're so quick to cut them off completely shows a disturbing lack of empathy. One day you might need help and you will understand what it feels like to be abandoned by the people who should care about you the most. And I think OP understands that perfectly well, because from what I could tell, the parents actually abandoned him when he was young and never really helped him. The commenter then further says, as if it is not bad enough already, blood is thicker than water and you're gonna regret throwing away your family over material possessions. Houses come and go, but you only get one set of parents. Update to the story. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. Reading your comments made me feel sane again. I wanted to update you on what's happened since my post. The restraining order hearing went exactly as my lawyer predicted. My parents showed up with their attorney, who immediately tried to turn the proceedings into a debate about family obligations and verbal agreements regarding my house. The judge shut that down fast, making it clear the only issue before the court was whether my parents' behavior constituted harassment or not. Well, I presented evidence of their repeated unwanted visits, the break-in, the social media campaign, and the calls to my workplace. My parents tried to paint themselves as concerned about my mental health, but their story fell apart under questioning. When asked directly why they felt entitled to my house, my dad actually said, "We created him, so technically everything he owns belongs to us." The judge was not impressed. The restraining order was granted for 1 year, and my parents are prohibited from coming within 500 feet of my home or workplace and cannot contact me directly or through third parties. Then their attorney attempted to bring up their counterclaim about the house, but the judge firmly stated that it was a separate civil matter they would need to file properly if they wish to pursue it. My lawyer doesn't think they will, as they have no documentation to support their claims and pursuing it would only cost them money they don't have. After the hearing, my parents tried to approach me in the parking lot, but the courthouse security intervened. My mom was crying dramatically while my dad shouted that I would regret this and that blood is thicker than water. I just got in my car and drove away. The aftermath has been mixed. Some family members have reached out to apologize after seeing how my parents behaved in court, and others have doubled down on their support of my parents, claiming that I manipulated the legal system against them. Well, I've blocked the latter group and I'm focusing on rebuilding relationships with those who understand the reality of the situation. My parents have apparently moved in with my aunt in another state, and I've heard through mutual connections that they are still telling everyone I stole their house, but with the distance and the restraining order, it's no longer affecting my daily life. I've started therapy to work through the complicated emotions this situation has brought up. Years of conditioning made me doubt myself even when I knew I was right, and I'm working on strengthening my boundaries and processing the guilt that still occasionally surfaces. As for my house though, I've changed the locks, installed security cameras, and updated my will to explicitly exclude my parents from inheriting anything from me, which was a precaution my lawyer recommended. I'm slowly reclaiming my space and my peace of mind. Thank you again for all your support and advice. It helped more than you know. And the next one is a brand new viral story from r/AmIOverreacting, and it's titled "Am I Overreacting? AIO for walking out mid-dinner after my date called my food disgusting." So I, 26 female, went on a second date with a guy, 29 male, I'd been chatting with for about a month. We went to a cozy little fusion restaurant that I love. It's an Asian Latin mix, and I ordered my favorite dish, beef empanadas with kimchi. When it came, he made a face and said, "That looks disgusting. I don't know how you can eat that." At first I laughed it off and told him it is actually amazing. But he kept making little comments like, "The smell is intense," and "I'd never date someone who eats weird stuff like that regularly." I finally told him, "You know, you're being pretty rude. You don't have to like what I eat, but you don't need to insult it." He smirked and said, I'm just being honest. So I asked the waiter to pack my food, paid for my share, and left. He texted me later saying I embarrassed him and that I'm too sensitive. So Reddit, am I overreacting for thinking that was disrespectful enough to leave? And yeah guys, this dude is probably one of those people that never tries new food and is actually scared of trying new stuff. I think OP was not rude, the rude person was that guy, and OP is definitely in the right here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Comment number 1, as a parent I would be proud if my daughter did the exact same thing. We have a rule when we are on vacation or traveling, you have to try one new food item you've never heard of or never liked when you were younger, years not days or months. They can pick or choose if they want, or they can let me or mama pick. It's fun, but it also shows them that their taste buds can change and different foods, while they may sound weird, are not dangerous and sometimes you actually find something you like. For example, my daughter when she was 10 never tried sushi, but now she is an ardent sushi fan. She even tries different types she may not have liked previously. The guy's an a-hole and you dodged a bullet. Good job, NOR. Comment number 2, NOR, which basically means not overreacting. You reacted exactly how you should have. Plus, I mean, he would not date you anyway because you eat that disgusting food, remember? So why waste your time? I don't like certain foods, I've been called picky, but I've never actively insulted other people's food preferences. I've only ever made passing comments about balut, don't look it up if you're squeamish, trust me, don't, not even out of curiosity, and when I was younger and a bit more naive. Comment number 3, as an Asian/Hispanic, Korean and Mexican, I hate this kind. I had an ex basically ban menudo and kimchi from his house, lived with him, and saying it smelled like ass and tasted like it too. Okay, have fun with your potatoes and meat, you turd. I'm lucky I'm in love with someone who's actually in love with my culture and walk of life. He won't knock anything until he tries it. He will even suffer his butthole and try to eat what I cook, even if it is too spicy. Damn, I love that man. If you read this, tell me what you want me to make you for dinner next. And the next one is another Am I Overreacting story. This one is titled Am I Overreacting for refusing to apologize to a stranger who screamed at me for ruining his date? So I, 30 male, went to a popular restaurant last night and while waiting for my table I saw a man drop his wallet. I picked it up and tapped him on the shoulder to hand it back. His date looked at me weird and he went completely red and said, "Dude, what the hell? I was about to kiss her." I said, "I was just giving you your wallet back." And he started yelling that I ruined the moment and I should have waited. His date looked mortified. I told him to relax and walked away. Later, I saw him complaining about me to the staff like I'd done something terrible. My friend says I should have just said sorry to de-escalate, but I feel like I didn't do anything wrong here. Am I overreacting for thinking this guy was a total jerk? And yeah guys, OP is definitely not overreacting. That guy was 100% a jerk. Let me know what you think in the comments. Comment number 1 said, not overreacting. The guy was entitled and hopefully you helped his date realize and save themselves. It reminded me of last year when I was with my SO trying to pick a restaurant for lunch. There were lots of restaurants with tables outside. I saw a woman at a table with several people who had dropped her wallet and hadn't noticed. I thought to myself that it was especially bad considering it was in the middle of the street. I walked over there, kneeled down, picked it up and gave it back to her. I had my little one in a carrier, so it was hard enough to kneel and stand up again. The woman as well as the rest of the people at her table looked weird at me, not even a thank you. My SO told me that I should have just pointed out that they had dropped it because now they probably thought I had stolen it from them. For a moment there, I really felt like not helping strangers on the street ever again. For some reason, I felt humiliated after I tried to do something nice. I am glad you could react like you did. The guy deserved worse. Comment number 2, not overreacting. That idiot guy is or was overreacting. How could you know that he wanted to kiss his date? He should be happy that you gave the wallet back and that his wallet is now stolen by someone else. The F-man, the least he could do was thank you for that instead of acting like a little kid just for a kiss that didn't happen. Comment number 3, get over it. The guy was a jerk for sure, but those are his issues, his monkeys, his circus. The quicker you can return to your previous state of complete and total unawareness of his existence, the by far better. It doesn't sound like much like saying sorry you would have mattered, but don't prevent yourself from saying a soothing word just because you didn't do anything wrong. Clearly, the guy thought you did. Doesn't sound like it would have availed you anything, but it might have turned the tables on him, a mirror held up so he could see that he was indeed the jerk. And before we end the video, and to have some nice variety, let's read one last funny story from r/PattyRevenge. This one is titled, Don't Wanna Do 2 Flights of Stairs? Enjoy 6. So I was supposed to get a delivery from DHL today. It requires a signature. It was a gift for my wife, a new clothing item that she'd been wanting for a while. Tracking told us today this morning, updated to say between 1 and 3 p.m. Perfect. We work out together and my wife heads to work. I'm off today and home. I jump in the shower around 12:30, only to hear the doorbell at 12:40. Damn, he's early. I run to the doorbell and buzz him in, throw on a bathrobe soaking wet and wait by the door. I just have to sign and then I can go finish my shower and stick the bathrobe in the dryer. Except nobody knocks on my door. I stand there waiting for about 10 minutes. Maybe he has other deliveries or something in the building. Maybe he cannot find my unit. No big deal, until my phone goes off with another text update and it says, "Couldn't deliver package because you were not home." I lit up, run downstairs in flip-flops in a bathrobe. The truck is already gone. I call the call center, fortunately get to speak to a human immediately, and he is very helpful. He says he's gonna try to have them deliver it because that is BS, but if they cannot, he gave me a list of options. I decide to wait to see if they can redeliver. Long story short, and several hours later, they cannot. No one knows why this dude didn't come upstairs. He made it into the building and mine was the only package, but I know why. The elevator is down right now, so this dude walks into the lobby, sees the crew working on the disabled elevator, and decides the 2 flights of stairs from the lobby to the 3rd floor is just too much for him. He turns around and then walks out. And now he's not coming back. My wife is really sad. She's been having a rough time lately and she was really looking forward to feeling pretty, so now I'm even angrier. The petty revenge, one option for redelivery, is to come back the next day and leave it with a neighbor. So I texted around and found someone who could be home all day tomorrow to take the package on the 8th floor. Management sent out another email this morning that we shouldn't expect the elevator to be fixed until next week. So yeah, enjoy the stairs, a-hole. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this new subreddit and I will see you again tomorrow.